Hey guys! Today I thought I would show you a couple of series that I really like that you might not have heard of yet. I mean, I'm not gonna talk about Harry Potter, which is my favorite series of all time, or Divergent or The Hunger Games or any of those series that have been pretty much talked to death. I'm just gonna talk to you about a couple of series that I really like that you might not know yet. Or maybe you've seen it before but you haven't picked it up yet. So here we go! The first series is Wicca by Cate Tiernan, and this was one of my favorite series growing up. When I was in high school I was obsessed with this series, so you might know it. I think a lot of people were pretty into this series, but I know a lot of people who've never ever heard of it. Basically it's about this girl, Morgan, and she's an ordinary girl. She isn't very pretty, she has a really beautiful best friend, and she has a lot of self-esteem issues. And then one day a gorgeous boy transfers to her school, and it's a miracle, he starts to talk to her. He invites her to a party, which turns out to be a Wiccan celebration because he practices Wicca. Now Morgan has never ever done anything like that, but she's intrigued and she goes and does this little circle dance that they do, and she feels this rush of power that she can't explain, and ever since then she doesn't feel quite the same anymore. Howl, which is the hot boy, he notices her powers and he wants her to join his new coven that he's going to set up, and he wants her to join Wicca. And Morgan really wants to, but she also has some issues with it because she's a Christian and she goes to church every Sunday, so always heard that, you know, witches are bad and isn't quite sure if she wants to practice Wicca, but then she finds out that Wicca is mostly about nature and it's not evil or anything at all. But she still has a lot of problems with it, but she's also really interested, so it's kind of a battle between that. And her friend gets jealous that she hangs out with Cal, and it's really interesting. A lot of things happen that I'm not going to tell you about. They're really short books, so it's a series that you can read really fast. I think there's 15 books in the entire series. You learn a lot about Wicca and also a lot about nature, and she gets more self-esteem and everything. It's a really fun read, and if you're into fantasy or even witchcraft or Wicca, if you find it a little bit interesting and want to know more about it, I definitely recommend this book series. Next up is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is book 1 in the series. I had it on my shelf for ages until someone really recommended it to me, and I looked it up on Goodreads and turned out I already had it. That's when I started to read it, and I think it took me a little while to get into the story. Maybe only like 20 pages, but still, that can discourage some people. But it's so good. It's not really young adult or anything, but if you like fantasy books or you want to get into fantasy books, I really recommend this one. It's about a boy who wants to learn magic, but it's not really easy to learn magic, not like just flick your wand or anything. And it's about his adventures with learning magic and learning names of things, and I can't really talk about what it is without giving too much away, but if you're interested in fantasy, I really recommend this series. I think book 3 is about to come out this year. I hope it is, because I really want to read it. But book 1 and 2 are already out. Then there's the Leven Thumps series by Obert Skye. This is one of my favorite series ever, and I know a lot of people that I know that read a lot of books haven't read this one yet, and I really recommend it. It's hilarious. This is one of the funniest series that I've ever read. I swear you will laugh out loud. It's so good. I think it's supposed to be young adult or middle grade, and I'm usually not really sure. I think it's young adult. It's about 14-year-old Leven Thumps. He lives with his aunt and uncle and has a pretty dreary life, kind of like Harry Potter did, but maybe even worse. And then one day he learns about a secret gateway that will bring him into the land of Fu. I think it's pronounced Fu. Or Fo. I'm not sure anymore. They actually explained in the book how you're supposed to pronounce it, but again, it's been like 5 years since I've read the series. I really need to reread it. And the cover is just beautiful. So my camera decided to quit there in the middle of my talk. I'm not sure where I left off, because it didn't warn me, so I was already on the next series. But anyway, yes, Leven Thumps. He goes to this magical dreamland, Fu, where all our dreams come from, and our dreams go to, I think. And it's in danger, and Leven is the one who can save it. He gets a sycophant, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure. This video is going really well. He's called Clover, and you can see him here. He's really cute and hilarious. and together they try to save Fu from Sabine, who's evil and who wants to change all the dreams into nightmares so that he gets more power. It has a lot of original fantasy characters, and there's talking toothpicks and trees that hit people and upturn entire houses. There's earth that tries to swallow you. There's a lot of fancy stuff going on. Magical powers. It's really good, and the book itself has these amazing pictures from time to time. This is Clover. That show you what's going on and how they look like, and they're really cute, and they only come occasionally, but it's really fun. I'm not sure what else to say about this book without spoiling too much. I think there's like 6 books maybe. I'm not even sure. I've really done my research on this, but it's a great series. It's hilarious. If you like fantasy and if you like humor, this is definitely the series for you. The last series that I want to recommend is Howl's Moving Castle by Dianna Wynne Jones. This is the first book in the series. Book 2 is called Castle in the Air, and book 3 is The House of Many Ways. I absolutely love Howl's Moving Castle. I think I've read this book like 5 or 6 times already, and the movie adaptation is also one of my favorite anime of all time. So if you haven't seen the anime yet but you've read the book, I really recommend it. It's also called Howl's Moving Castle, and if you've seen the animation but you're not sure if you want to read the book is completely different. You can see that they base it on it, of course, and a lot of things are the same, a lot of the characters are the same, but the movie really parts ways with the book on many things. The story is actually, if you really look at it, it's kind of completely different. Only the basics still intact. Personally, I didn't really mind because I really loved the movie. What helped for me when I first read this book was to pretend that the movie and the book were completely separate, that they had nothing to do with each other. Because when you've seen a movie a lot of times, or read a book a lot of times, and you really like the way that story goes, it can be really frustrating when the book or the movie isn't the same. So even when this was the original text, it bothered me in the beginning that it was different from the movie. But if you ignore that, if you try to ignore it, it's a really good book, and now I can just read them both and really enjoy both of them. If you don't know what it's about a girl called Sophie. She's a hatter, or at least an assistant in a hat shop owned by her mother, and she's the oldest child of 3, so she thinks she has all the responsibility and believes that nothing interesting can ever happen to her, and she can't be a hero and she can't be pretty because she's the oldest child, and things like that only happen to middle children or the younger children in books and stories, so it couldn't possibly happen to her. And then one day she meets Howl, renowned as a frightful wizard. And because of that meeting, she is cursed by a different witch who believes that she is friends with Howl, and she gets jealous, I think, or just wants to mess with Howl. And she's turned into an old lady and ends up at the castle, the moving castle of Howl, to try and lift the curse that she can't tell anyone about. It's actually something in this book that I really liked, and it's kind of a shame that it wasn't in the movie, but I get why they cut it out. If you don't want to know what it is, I'll have an annotation below. Just mute it for now, because it's kind of a spoiler. Yeah? Okay. If you want to know, Howl has a door that can go to many places, and in the movie it's just different places in their world. But in the book, one of those places that he goes to is actually our world. So Howl is actually Howl from Scotland, I believe. And he went to university here, and he's just completely human, and he lived in this world and found the way into the other world to study magic, which I thought was brilliant. Okay, that was the end of the spoiler. Book 2 and 3 are also really awesome. I love these books, but something that I didn't expect, and if you don't know it, it might be a bit disappointing at first. The characters of the first book are still in this book, but they're minor characters that only show up near the end, I think. So the main character changes in this book and then changes again in this book, but they're still great. I think this one, the third one, is my favorite after Howl's Moving Castle. The House of Many Ways. It's about a girl who goes to live in her, I think it's great uncle's house. He's a wizard and his house is really weird, and she has to cope with that, and also meets Howl and Sophie at the end. You get to see a little bit of what happened to them after the first book ended. The second book is still really good, but it's just happens to be my least favorite of the 3. But I really recommend this series. All in all, it's pretty great and I hope you give it a shot. For my series recommendations, some of the series that I really love and not a lot of people seem to talk about. Maybe that's because they're pretty old, or maybe it's just me and I haven't seen them yet. But I hope that you found a new series from this, and maybe I'll do a video like this again sometime. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have some suggestions of series that you really love and you think that I should read, or people watching this should read, please leave them below in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this, then please subscribe. Tot ziens!